107 heat
Yeah.
index and all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. We are live and we're late because I don't know, StreamYard, you're getting an email from me because yesterday with Brad Smith it happened and today it happened again. I'm in one room, the guest is in the other. So give a quick introduction, man. We're talking obviously about the weather, where you're at because oh gosh, it's hot here in Texas, but you're not here though. So
No, it's all good. Now I'm here in New Orleans. We're waiting to see if there's a storm coming in. That's that's all good. We're used to hot, either way. But so you want to kick off with intro? You want me to introduce myself?
yeah, go ahead and
Oh,
introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you
yeah.
are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Perryn Olson. I'm a fractional chief marketing officer with Alt CMO, and I'm the president of our fractional CMO team. And so we help construction companies, usually small, mid-sized companies, grow, through marketing with marketing strategy, leadership, and mentoring their in-house marketing teams.
Okay, so and what size companies are you typically working with?
But smaller side, maybe 25 million, big side, 500 million.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, good deal. And I'm curious. One thing that I did when we first talked God, I guess about a month ago now, but
Yeah.
um, I've wondered about is the smaller you are, the more likely it is to see customer concentration. But
Yes.
are you seeing that? You said I think 500 million. As
Yeah.
these companies grow, is there a certain inflection point where companies in the construction space they kind of shed that? It's like okay, we're beyond customer concentration, or is it a trap that a lot of these guys get hung into a lot longer than they expected?
The first trap they got to get rid of is the founder led everything. Like the
Okay.
founder rainmaker is that
Yeah.
first trap.
Yep.
So you deal a lot with evaluations in your
Yep.
business. So the company is worthless if the business owner founder is the rainmaker and
Yep.
the project manager and accounts receivable and all that. So
Mhm.
if we call it institutionalizing the company, this is where the brand takes off and leaves that person. So
Yep.
my clients are times when they're coming to us, they're either trying to separate that or there's a generational shift about to happen or
Mhm.
is already happened
Mhm.
that we're trying to transition and build that system from the founder into the ongoing brand and build systems, all that stuff. And or it's the company's growing, they're trying to acquire, they're building out new business units, new market sectors, and kind of what they've done in the past doesn't work anymore because nobody knows them in these newer markets. So
Right.
um so sometimes it's like de-risking the company, diversifying,
Yeah.
things like that. So but there is usually a catalyst of something is definitely broken, or they think something would be broken very soon. I've even had food clients like, look, I don't think our current marketing team can keep up with sales.
Mhm.
So I like that problem much better than hey, I need you to make sales happen in the next 2 months, or we can't make payroll. Like
That's tough.
that's a very different marketing strategy for us.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you touched on owner dependency. We'll come back to customer
Yeah,
concentration because I talked to someone, I don't know, a few months ago, and I've told the story a few times now. And he was in the construction world. I think they were doing mainly trucks, moving the dirt, but construction world on some level,
yeah,
and working for contractors and stuff like that. And they boomed. They get like 30, 40 million. And then he went bankrupt because he was
yeah,
bidding jobs for 3 million and he was costing him 3.5 and he
yeah.
was sending out invoices himself because it's like, no,
Yeah.
like, I don't
Well,
get it.
I've seen it, and I think that's kind of the trap with trucking companies. I worked with a demolition dumpster company, and
Mhm.
they were trying to like, hey, we need to drum up business. We got dumpsters sitting in the yard. So as I kind of walk through, it's like, I need to figure out what's their customer acquisition charge because generally it's
Right.
not even something we talk about with GCs or trade contractors because usually that one deal pays for itself. But like, this is a small transaction of a dumpster that might be $700, maybe a
Right.
thousand. Like, so we got to figure out acquisition costs. Like, we need to have the acquisition cost under $100 for them to even break even. And I was like,
Mhm.
this makes no sense. We should
Mhm.
just, I'm like, you should sell the dumpsters. My opinion as the marketing guy
Mhm.
is sell your dumpsters and get rid of them. Like, not rent them, literally get rid of the
Yeah.
physical dumpster, like for scrap,
Yeah.
because right now you're paying to store them, and this makes no sense. Like, there is no business case at this point, or you've got to really streamline operations to the point where you can make more than $100 on
Yeah.
this because we would have to treat this as a loss leader to get the demolition business.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it is a trap that a lot of companies kind of fall into is they keep thinking small. Like or even just in college, my professor was telling us like, don't underquote yourself as a college student, as a freelance designer, besides hurting the market. But eventually, if you're charging $50 an hour thinking you're making a killing, when you want to go open up an office and now you need to pay rent and you need
Right.
to move, all these other things, like you can't because you don't
Yeah.
have any money,
Yeah.
like because you've been charging freelance rates and those kind of things. And I think a lot of contractors kind of get that same way. It's like they're running everything and they're maybe making a decent salary, but as they bring in an office manager, eventually a CFO, a marketer, operations, like all those things cost money. So generally, that's not the jump I make with companies. It's usually that next. They've got some of those people. Well, I've seen a few of my clients are now starting to bring in all the executives. I've got one client been with a couple of years. They've now brought in a new VP of safety, a VP of HR. They brought in myself as marketing. They already had the CFO, which is good. She's been rock solid. They're kind of allowing their IT director to move into more of a VP of IT, things like that. And I have another client that they just in the last 6 months that I've been with them, I came on as obviously marketing. They brought in a chief innovation officer, it's a fractional as well. They brought in a chief people officer. Like they're stacking up their executives because they're trying to go from medium to large.
Yeah.
Like they're ramping. And one of those clients is actually has an internal campaign that they use called Built to Grow. Like that's what they're doing. They're building to grow. And talking with the guys that's been there a while, he goes, he feels like the coil, like we're tensing, we're pulling the coil down or that spring,
Right.
and they're about ready to let it rip. And he goes, I've seen us do this a few times, and we're smart enough now to know that's what we're doing. Because the last few times that we did it, we didn't really realize that was what's going on. We're all freaking out. There's no business. And now it's like, you can see, he's like, I could feel what's going on.
Right.
The tension's about to explode. And so yeah, that's where a lot of times I like is working with companies and multiple brands, multiple business units. It's just more fun for me. But it's not always our stereotypical clients. A lot of them are, how do we go back to that, take that founder led or that sales motion and build in the marketing? How do we, I have one client right now, they've already got 10 people in sales. They get 0 inbound leads. So how do we help diversify? How do we help the salespeople not have to hunt all day long? How do we, take care of customers that have been out there? And, every business is quite different. And one of the things that's interesting about this business is essentially ignored marketing for decades. We've had legalized, and it sounds weird to some people because they don't realize this. You could legally market professional services, which counts architect, engineer, accounting, legal, construction, like in the 70s. It's still a fairly new profession in the grand scheme of things. Before that, it was illegal to hang a sign out in front of your business.
Right.
It was truly the old golf course, and that was really it. You had to have relationships, and that mentality is kept on. But nowadays, we have so much consumer-driven things, and people do so much research online with Google, and especially now with AI. I mean, years ago, Gartner was saying that 60 to 70% of the buying process is done before they make first contact. Well, we want to control that. We want to, one, be found. The other thing is control that messaging. And the same thing happens on employees. So if you only have that sales motion, one, you're making your salespeople really work hard to come in and try to build those relationships and all that stuff if they don't have a strong brand. And if you can also build in the motion of helping the company get discovered, you can hand those people a few leads every month. It makes everything a little easier, and it means we're selling the company, not the people, which also makes the company more sustainable. Because if one person leaves, you're not losing a ton of revenue. You're kind of they're a little bit more interchangeable. Ideally, they're adding to the company, but that person isn't detrimental if they leave.
Yeah.
Because eventually, everyone's going to leave a company for one way or another.
Yeah. You're gonna leave or you're gonna die. Like it's that simple.
Correct.
Correct. I mean,
you leave on your choice, the company's choice, or life.
Yeah. You were leaving this company. It's happening. Like I'm leaving mine. You're leaving yours. We're all leaving. 100% exit rate.
Some of the conversations I have with a lot of people is even one company I've got. They're not focused on selling anytime soon. They're in their mid-30s, the main leadership. But we're trying to look, okay, when we do sell, where do we want to be? Do we want to be the company that gets built around, or we want to get the company that's get scrapped for parts, or we get thrown into another company? Like, what are we trying to build?
Right.
And that's been really eye-opening because we do things a little differently. They want to be a company that can either acquire other companies or if they do get outside investors, things like that, they can plug in and keep that company, keep them in that brand. So we're trying to do things a little bit better, a little slower sometimes because we're trying to build that strong foundation. And the other side of it is the analogy we use is we've been adding more legs to the stool. So they had 2 when I started with them. Most companies only have 1. So then we've we've now added 2 more, and we're about to add a 5th one, and just more stability, de-risking, because they're in one geographic market. So how do we de-risk some of that? And now we're looking, okay, how do we take 2 of those legs and 2 service lines essentially and go to a new market? So now we're de-risking a little bit, and even growth opportunities with that as well. And so it just they're the point where they're getting out of everyone knowing everything. We're bringing in more experts, and it's been an interesting transition. And it's a lot of times my conversations with clients aren't always marketing related. There are a lot of times they are business operations related. Like I'm working with this client in particular. We're starting to build out some of their back end operating systems. I've never done their trade.
Right.
Like, I've never worked. This is a roofing siding company. Never worked on a roof. Never worked in siding. Been around them a lot. I've been a lot of construction a lot. But I'm also helping. Okay, what do we need to get from point A to B? And one of the things we're establishing is like, what is their way of doing construction? What is their way of doing customer service? What is like? That's where I kind of got plugged in. But also just kind of that vent of like, okay, well, if Perryn doesn't know how to hang a shingle, or hang a piece of siding, can he understand this? So. And those are kind of things that we're looking at is like, how do we build that? And that also makes us a lot stronger overall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so I think you covered a lot of ground there.
Yeah.
But part of what I would say when you say marketing, well, customer service is tied to marketing,
100%.
right? Because if your customer service is jerks, like when your salespeople are great, you land the clients, and ops and customer service are jerks. Well, okay, that's gonna that the world's gonna be
100%. I instantly fixed a company's inbound problem. What was that? I was back in the day when we had to go fly to visit clients for video conference, big thing. I was actually in your neck of the woods about 10 years ago. I walked in. I had a colleague with me. We're both in suits because we're the consultants of this phase. Told the front receptionist, "Hey, we're here to meet the CEO. We're in, like I said, we're in suits." And she was one of the rudest people I've ever met. I'm just like, you don't know who we are, and I understand that,
right?
But you're treating us like shit,
right?
And so, and I already had a few prep calls with the CEO. I was referred to him by another client, so we had a good rapport. So, like before he took me to the back, I said, "Hey, hold on, stop and let." And the phone's ringing off the hook, and I get like, she might have a bad day. I'm like, just listen. I was like, "Is this normal?" She reminds me of Roz from Monsters Inc. That old lady, like old slugs. Like that's what, that's what she was. If they need a visual and a voice for that. And I'm like, I'm not saying fire her, but like reassign her.
Yeah, something's got to change. Yeah.
So like within a week, they moved her out of. Within 3 months, I think sales had gone up 10%.
Yeah.
This was a large commercial contractor.
No, yeah.
Like this was not a residential, but she was what we call the director of first impressions. If you call in or walk in the door, she's who you met.
Exactly.
Exactly. It was interesting, and I've seen that like years ago. I remember, getting married 2 decades ago. My wife had essentially shortlist a vendor based on setting an appointment with them, whether it was the florist or the whatever. Like, I remember one time she's like, "I called these 5 florists. We're going to go meet with these 2." I'm like, "What happened to the other 3?" She's like, "Well, that one was rude. That one never picked up the phone." And like, oh, okay. And it was this really eye opening. It was like, and at first I was like, "Oh, you're being too tough." I'm like, "No, wait, we're the customer. Why should we work hard? Like, why do we want to work with somebody who's rude on the phone if this is their business?" Like, and that does translate in business to business. I think people forget that. And, it's that extra feeling, that, it's not how people, it really matters how you make people feel is really what matters. And I think that is one of the traps that we've had in construction. One of the things I love, my first contractors I worked with in construction 20 years ago, they did a lot of low bid road construction. They also did a lot of work in the plants and industrial. And that was what they were trying to grow. And one of the things they did was train their low bid road contractors on customer service and appropriate communication, because they would also use them in the plants. They didn't want to have them like switch gears. Okay, well, you're working for the state or the city or the county, and this one you're dealing with a private entity. It was just across the board. This is our level of professionalism. This is how we do customer service. And they were winning work as a heavy civil contractor in the plants because of that customer service. That would they got more work from that same client. That client would refer them. And I remember like the VP of business development and I were working on this a lot. Of me as the marketer, he in sales. And one time he brought me on a client and he just flat out, "Why are you referring this business?" And he's like, "You guys are just easy to work with. I like you." Like,
right.
So I asked, I was a lot younger and I was just naive. Like, "So what about the other people who were?" He's like, "Oh, they're assholes. They're like your stereotypical movie trope of a construction worker." And he's like, I don't want to work with them. So why would I refer them? Like, and it's just like sometimes the bar is low in construction. And it's interesting to see how sometimes it just fixing the person at the front desk can fix a lot of issues. Or, we've had times that my business partner, he did a website last year for a big electrical contractor, and they went from getting 0 leads and like 1 or 2 applicants a year. Now they average about 10 inbound leads a month that are quality, and they get about 100 inbound applicants a week.
Yeah.
They've literally dropped their Indeed, their LinkedIn ads. They've actually let go of most of their recruiters. They've now made a relationship with some of the employment agencies with like, look, we'll find the applicants, you just process them, because that's part of their thing, is you probably run across. And like, you do all your things, but like, we're going to bring that. We want a discount for that.
Yeah.
And all we did was change their website.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the thing that I'm curious, are you familiar with the Bezos one-way, two-way door framework he talks about? Okay.
Yes.
So like, what I love about what you're saying is a lot of this stuff is two-way door, but the key is how you treat people is a one-way door, right?
Yes.
Like, we're going to go through and we're going to be really nice, really, really professional. Now, if you are the Michael Jordan of your industry and everyone knows it, you ain't got to worry about that. You can do whatever you want because you're the Michael Jordan.
You can, to an extent,
And I'm saying like there's only 32 of you. Like,
yes, okay, I get you that. Yes,
yeah, like a true. But here's the thing: the amount of Michael Jordan companies and people out there, it's not real.
Well, and I think the other side in construction, how do you even know?
Right. Yes, I'm saying. Like, it's not. That's my point.
There's some great construction companies I've met over the years. Good people, do good work, clients love them, and because they have such good retention with the clients, they don't think they need marketing. And I'm like, but how does anybody know? Like, there's a company in my own market that I started working with about a year ago that I didn't even know they had an industrial niche. I'm like, I know you guys. I've known your past 3 marketing directors. I didn't know that you guys did. And like, we're working. I'm like, hey guys, we need to add trust signals to your website. Like, safety days, work. And he's like, oh, we've got 100% on time projects the last 20 years. You've got what?
Yeah,
we've got 0 latent defects. No lawsuits. And they've got, number of thousands of days of safe work. And I'm like, why is none of that outside this office? Like, it was just, let's take this good stuff you guys have. And now it's on their website. It's on their flyers. It's on their proposals. Like, we're pushing that out, and it's changing the story with people. Like, one of their salespeople sounds like there's people that they've been trying to knock down doors for a while, and then all of a sudden they're responding. There's people that were always low bid, with essentially pushing them to be low bid, even in this, negotiated work and industrial, and now the price isn't such an issue. Like, because you de-risk the situation, you're showing them we're a good contractor, you're validating with all these other things, and now it's not a price-driven conversation, it's a value-driven conversation.
Yeah, we might be higher, but you're not going to sue us, or we're not going to be late, or whatever. Like, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, but the last guy, you're 10% higher, but the last guy we spent 40% more because we were late, had to sue them, or defects, or whatever it might be. And I think what I've tried to emphasize to people is, you talk about the founder led and stuff like that. It's like, you really have to understand the game you're playing. And so that company that's doing 500 million a year in revenue, like, they're playing a certain game that the guy who's just fixing porches on the weekend, he's not playing that game. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different games. But if 100%. That guy wants to go to the 500 million revenue, he's got to realize that, like, to get there, he's got to play the $1 million a year revenue game, the 10 million, the 40. Like, there's different games he has to play to get to that 500 million. And it's like, I think a lot of companies think, oh, I talked to so many people, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to grow to $100 million. It's like, well, maybe, but you got to understand, like, what you're doing now that's not that.
Well, it's funny. I went back and consulted with a friend about 6 months ago, and he's like, we're not getting any inbound leads. And this is an IT firm, so a little different. So I'm looking at all their stuff, and I'm like, look, there's no strategy for any inbound. There's no advertising cost. I'm like, so what do you expect the inbound cost, like inbound, to come from? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's literally no motion. That's like, hey, no one built my new office building. Well, no one hired the construction crew either. Like, it's not going to just magically happen. The funny thing is, actually, as we dug in and some stuff, I actually audited their website. They were getting leads.
Oh, really?
And part of it is they've been around a while. They're a pretty big company. They've got a good reputation. So they were getting a few in, nothing like they really want. but there was some stuff they were getting, and because they thought they were getting none, nobody was literally checking it. And that's one of the funniest things that happened. It's like
Wow.
my business partner was telling me that they started literally getting 100 applicants a week and started getting leads. It's like when they launched the new website, nobody was checking
Yeah.
that because they set up like a jobs at the company name and like
Yeah.
deals at.
Right.
Nobody was getting it. It was going to like an employee that's been gone for years. So he's like, and we're looking at our stats, like it's showing all these conversions, all this stuff, and he's like, "Hey, what's the quality? Like, what are you talking about? We didn't get any of that." It's like, it's kind of funny. It's like we don't get any mail. No one sends
Yeah.
us invoices. Well, did you check the mailbox?
Yeah, right. I got a guy, poor fella. I felt bad for the guy. I was trying to help him out. He owned a foundation repair company, and he wasn't really focused on sales and marketing.
No.
But towards the end, he's like, "Hey, I just realized that the number on my Google My Business page is not the right one." For a year, the phone had been calling someone else. Now, I don't know if that would have saved his business or not, but it couldn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
And so for a year, people have been calling him. However many people, I don't know. But
hopefully it didn't go to a competitor.
Yeah. I didn't know who it went to. I didn't ask. I just felt so bad for the guy. But
yeah,
it was kind of indicative of like he just wasn't doing what he needed to be doing. He was a small company. But to your point, there's sometimes it's just these simple things. And like if you're saying to someone, "Hey," and this is why I think the Bezos one-way, two-way is so important because if you're saying, "Hey, you need inbound leads," well, you can try this thing for 20,000 or 40,000 or 100,000 or whatever it might be, and that's not for the companies the size you're talking about. It's not going to cripple them. They're not going to go out of business. You don't want to give them bad advice, of course, but you can't swear everything we do is going to work. Otherwise, we can just all retire tomorrow. So we're all trying to figure it out. Like, okay, this is the game we're playing.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the smaller I've seen companies go, the small companies I've seen, they think of everything as a one-way door. And I'm curious that $500 million dollar company, not that particular, do they understand that framework, the two-way, one-way, a lot better?
You do, especially when we're talking about newer markets. The client of Summit or the sliding roofing, like one of the things he said, parents like, "You're not doing a great job on lead gen." I'm like, "We're not really trying, to be honest with you." Like it's because they've been around 40 years, I think it is 45, and like they just get business. The phone does ring throughout the day without any Google ads, without all this stuff. So like we've been actually working on that. That's a residential kind of, we've been doing more of the commercial the last few years and building that. Now we're going back and trying to build the residential. But like, so the company's been around a while. They do just get work. Like that is something that happens. They get on the bid list and stuff like that. So, and that's what's interesting is like they tend to hit a wall or a ceiling because they want to move to a new market, geographic, market sector, whatever. Now it's work, or that generational shift, the rainmaker retires, dies, whatever, sells. Like now they got to work. Like that's where generally what I would come in. But like they're diversified enough that yes, it's not going to cripple them if we make a huge mistake. Or the benefit really is even better is they have 6 to 12 months or 24 months to build this, and that's where I love like the client I'm talking about, this residential, commercial, siding, roofing. Like when I first started, I was about a month in, and he's like, "Perryn, I really don't need your help this year." I'm like, "Am I getting fired? Like we just started." And he's like, "No, I need your help next year. I need your help building the backlog in 12 months." And like, dude, marketing is perfect for that because a lot of that building up that flywheel takes 6 months sometimes. The cool thing is a lot of it will last 5 years versus if I had 2 months to get everything done, it's very sudden, it's expensive, it's advertising, and as soon as we stop, it turns off. Like, so that's the difference. And what I'm starting to feel too is because I do this so much, I look at so much construction stuff, I get all these Instagram ads and YouTube videos and all this stuff that's like, these gurus like, all you got to do is do this, this, and this. And then every once in a while I get a client, "Hey, have we ever tried this?" And I'm like, that ain't gonna work. So like, give me an example. One of the major plays in software, because I do have 2 clients that are in construction software, one of the main plays is you do Google ads. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of my clients named Lenark, and I'll give a shout out because they do really good work for SMBs, and they're going head to head against Procore. Based on our intel, there's tools out there we can see what companies are spending in that. Procore spends about $500,000 a month in Google ads. So my client, to get any attention, essentially has to spend $25,000 a month. That's kind of hard to do as a startup. So it's okay. But if you go to any guru out there, you go to any marketing conference about software, they're going to say, "Well, this is what you do," because they're generally competing with other small and mid-sized companies. You're not generally competing with a behemoth like a Procore.
Right.
You maybe are chipping away at a Google or Microsoft, but you're so like specialized. Like we're essentially going head to head, Lenark versus Procore, and it's a hard thing because Procore also has that brand recognition. It's like then I'm like, why are they spending that much money? Why? Because they're trying to block people like Lenark from coming up.
Yep.
So I think that's where some of the trap is for these smaller companies, more up and coming, is they don't have a lot of money and time to test. I like a lot of my clients. We do try to do the crawl, walk, run, but it doesn't always work because sometimes the answer is we need to run to make the dent. I had one client, we literally did $500 a month in Google Ads to do their industrial sector, and we just did one city, and one keyword, one click a day would turn off their budget because that's all we were spending. The one click was $13. So I went back to them after a month, like, look, we spent $500. We got one click, one phone call. Of course, they didn't track what was coming in. But it was like, okay, do we double down? Do we, essentially triple down to make this even better? Because we were getting essentially 30 days a month, we get 30 clicks. That's all we're getting. Or do we abandon it? So we try to go somewhere else. So we're doing different, more targeted digital ads instead of doing Google ads. So sometimes that crawling phase doesn't work in certain markets because it's so saturated, especially like residential roofing. You're not making a dent for less than $5,000 a month in any market.
Right.
Like it doesn't make sense. And that's my client that does that. I'm like, we're not going to go in that rat race. Like that's just a law. So that's one we're building different legs of the stool. Where do we go away from essentially retail residential roofing? We'll still do it. If you call us, we'll do it. But we're not going to spend $50,000 a month in digital ads on it.
Okay, so you're in this space. Let me ask you, because I talked to a roofer back in May.
Yeah.
And they were talking about sales, and their strategy was warranty sales first off. So the roof no longer under warranty. They would call the warranty the property manager, whoever get done. That was one. And they had a few other things, and I was like, well, okay. When bad weather hits, there's some things you could do. But we got to talk, and I said, when are y'all slow? And they said, we're slow. I think it was like November to February, something like that. And I was like, well, yeah. I was like, well, why don't you just call CPAs up, and they're going to know which one of their construction companies, owners would have a building and might need a write-off. Like, why don't you try that? Because that's a way in which that if you're a CPA and you know that Real Ryan's company, he always needs a write-off. There you go.
I love it. That takes two things: creative thinking. I mean, because you're thinking from the finance angle. That is a really cool move, and I love doing that. As like you're zigging when other people are zagging. And I'll give you another kind of story, just kind of a different way of thinking of that. But it probably would be a slam dunk because I doubt anyone else is doing that. And you're providing that win-win-win. You're making the building owner happy, you're making the CPA happy, and you're making your tone team happy. But it does take effort, and that's why most contractors will never do that.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a book, The Science of Scaling. Have you read it?
No, I haven't. I've read a different book. I don't think it's the same one about scaling, but
yeah, you can go watch Benjamin Hardy. You go watch his stuff on YouTube and get the gist of it pretty easily. And basically, you've heard it before. Instead of saying 10 years, say 1, and then what would you have to do to do it in 1? Like that's and so I love that mentality. The problem I have with that is if I knew what to do at 1, I just do it in 1. Like it's easier said than done. Like if I knew what to do at 1, I just do it. But I get the point. And so I do think like in construction, it's a little bit different. There's a lot of costs. You got to have you have equipment, you got people, there's weather. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I mean, the big issue in construction too is that sometimes you don't know for another 6 months. Like you might need 6 months deal cycle. So commercial construction, I don't think. So it takes you 6 months to get the deal. And then it's another 3 to 6 months for the project to start. So like whatever sales activity you're in, some marketing activity you're doing today, you're potentially not getting revenue for 12, 16 months.
Yeah.
And that's another, I've had a few people that will gauge us as like, I don't know if my sales team's any good. And they essentially blame the lack of marketing. And they're like, but you need anyone who's been visible, you kind of need to give salespeople at least a year to see if it's worth it. But then it's still not enough. So now you got to make this fun decision in 12, 13 months of salesperson. Like they didn't really bring in anything. They seem busy. So it's like, do you cut bait and start over, or do you just keep this person going? And you look around, most business developers in construction, they either been there forever, or they bounce around every 2.5 to 3 years of getting a new job. And it's either the company doesn't give them the time or they don't give themselves the time, to do it. And it's a tough position. That's where sometimes marketing kind of help with like, we still need salespeople to build the relationships, close the deals, maintain relationships, all that. But can we help ignite some of those? Can we help just even retain some of those relationships through ongoing customer, communication and things like that? So yeah, it's a huge deal in construction that just takes forever to find out if it even works. But like, I love your suggestion of like calling the CPA. Like, you're gonna know if that works pretty quick.
Yeah.
And what else would be cool is you could potentially get front loaded on some work, because the common thing we do with some of our clients is in November we'll ask clients, hey, do you want us to pre-bill you for Q1 now?
Yep. Right.
And most of them will say nah, but appreciate it. One or two every year will say yes.
Yep. I've had that for a whole year before. One time, client paid me for a whole year in advance.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the tax wasn't sweet for me, but for
it definitely took a hit last year because I had 2 clients take me up on that offer. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But it did offer.
Yeah,
it definitely offered value and to my clients, and it also, one of my clients is like, well, that's actually really shrewd of you. You're thinking differently than I would expect it. Like, that's how we like to think.
But going back to what you said earlier, let's say that 80% of your clients paid a year in advance or a quarter in advance or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's a stat that can go on the website. Like, our clients are so happy with us, 80% of them renew before they even have to. So stuff like that I think that you're right. You gotta be creative, and I think I'm curious because you're in marketing, and I saw something the other day, and the guy's like, I can't remember. So this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But he's like, if you had 10 sales guys and no one ever took their call, or would you have 5 marketing guys that are mediocre? The 10 best sales guys, but no one ever responded to them, or 5 marketing guys. And I was like, well, wait, that's not even like that's so stupid.
Yeah.
I think people are starting to understand that marketing. We've thought about it before. Is like, oh gosh, what was the show? The Mad Men. We kind of think of it like that. It's like, no, it is more. It's your whole company, the way you interact, how you do stuff, and so.
Yeah,
but it doesn't solve everything because you still got to have people to close the deal.
Yeah,
for stuff.
But I've had times where I've gone in like my first month of onboarding with a client. I'm learning about them and things like that. The 2 first things I work on is identifying the ideal client profile, their ICP. And generally that fixes a lot of issues of like, and I like to do it from the field perspective back, because they really know the best clients. And it's not always, healthcare, okay, what in healthcare? Do you like hospitals? Do you like medical office buildings? Do you like urgent care? Like, let's dig in a little bit, because if they create less friction on the inside, the operational side, you back that out, they tend to, the sales process goes faster. And then you fix kind of 2 things. One is sales goes easier, higher profits, and it goes faster. But you're also fixing an employee retention problem, because if the operations are getting more work that they like getting, they stick around, versus this whole like friction. Like, boss would talk like, you don't need to really worry about the round peg in the square hole. You need to worry about the round peg in the oval hole, because it looks like it fits and it grinds.
I like that.
Like,
I
heard that story a lot. I even heard it today from another person. He's like, "Oh,
I've never heard that.
Dave told me this one because he knew I had a common connection with him."
Yeah,
and I was like, "I've heard that." And it's so true, and that's where a lot of people they struggle, is they're chasing either everything or the wrong target, and to make sure that sales and marketing are focused on that ideal client profile. The next thing I work on is, what is the company's messaging? So how do we tell people what we do? It's like, usually we're going through a process called story branding. We're using like Hollywood screenwriter stuff to build it out. So like my company, CMO, our story brand message is building momentum, because what's one of the things we do with marketing is we're building momentum, but also we're in the building industry. So it's just like double tone. And it's fun because I've had clients tell me, hey, I haven't seen it on the P&L yet, and I can kind of see it in the CRM, but like I can feel, like, you feel the surge coming, like you can feel the momentum. And I'm like, that's why it's our tagline. Like, you can generally feel it before you see it, because it is sometimes a 6 to 12 month sales cycle to get the dollars to show up. And I mean, one client we're working on was a prospect we ended up not working with. They couldn't afford us, so we're trying to work on like a deal, like, hey, we'll profit sharing type deal. And I wrote in there, we won't start profit sharing for 6 months, but that means we're going to carry the profit sharing 6 months after the contract is expired. And they couldn't understand why. And I'm like, because I'm not going to change your profit tomorrow. I'm not going to
Right.
change it in 30 days or 90. It's going to take us 3 to 6 months to move this ball forward. But then that means if we cut profit sharing the day we stop working, whether that's in 6 months or 6 years or whatever, I need that little bit of runway to catch up with what we essentially have built. And to find out that, well, they're like, we only got 90 days, we're closing the doors. I'm like, well, this isn't going to work anyway. Like, I'm not working for free.
Yeah. So what was the tagline though about get momentum, keep momentum?
Mine is building momentum.
Building. Okay. So I
Yeah.
love that, because what
Yeah.
I've told people in the past is you got kind of phase one, which is, get momentum, build momentum, how you want to phrase that. And then phase two is keep momentum. And then phase three is get over. Like most people, they don't ever get to phase three. And they struggle to get past phase one. It's like phase one, to get a little bit of momentum, to get your, like, if you're just starting from scratch, to get your friends to kind of, okay, it's kind of easy, but actually build momentum and get people actually interested, the phone ringing, get that going. Like that's work, not a little spark.
And one thing, most people have heard of the marketing funnel where you go through, awareness, consideration, decision, this high level. Like, it doesn't necessarily work in construction, because a good contractor, anywhere from 40 to 90% of their business could be repetitive work. So what I'm trying to do is, and this is not just me, there's a whole movement in the marketing space that's going to more of a flywheel. But you kind of plug it's like you take the funnel and it's going to take you from those 3 phases. But then once they've already bought, now you just keep them in this flywheel. And it takes time to get that flywheel going. Like, it literally, the physical nature of a flywheel. But then as you grow it and the bigger it gets, it's hard to stop it actually at one point. It's inertia starts taking over. But I'm amazed how many people I talk to that don't ever follow up their past clients. Like, I was talking the demolition I was talking about earlier. Hey, whatever happened to your work with this GC? Oh, we just didn't get a couple jobs for a while, and then we kind of fell off the radar. What are you doing to get back on the radar? Nothing. And it was like, so we literally went through like their top 10 list of the last 5 years, and they were not staying in touch with any of them. One, and sometimes it's just as simple as, well, 1 PM retired, or 1 PM went to another company. Well, okay, why didn't you go get more PMs in that same company? And that's kind of the trap for most trade contractors. Like, if there's, I'll give you the simplest marketing plan, sales and marketing plan for a trade contractor. It's one of the hardest things to execute. If you go as a trade contractor and pick up 1 new GC or 1 new PM at a GC a month, and start averaging one project a month from that contact, it literally just keep doing that. Your goal is to get one contact that you can reliably get one piece of business from every month. At the end of a year, it's not 12 new leads. It's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. And like, I built up the math, like, it's a lot of work that you've gotten opportunities to. Okay, now scale that 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Like, it's the math is insane. And it's not focused on, hey, how do we get a lot of work? It's, how do I build one relationship with one person at this company? And how do I, okay, if I got in with that guy, how do I get to the second person? How do you and just, it doesn't need to be a lot. And that's where I think a lot of people get overwhelmed in, business to business sales and marketing, is they try to boil the ocean. It's like, no, this is your target list. Let's go after that. I just got off a call right before this. Like, they're overwhelmed with this and that. I'm like, guys, who are your top 20 clients that you're going after? Who are your current top 20 clients? Like, can we just focus on them? Like, the clients that you'd be, you're firing people if they left because they get so much repeat business. Who are those that you need to stay in touch with? Who do we give a shit about? Okay, now who? And they got a new sales director, and he's like, yeah, I want to call it the most wanted. I'm like, great. Who's on the most wanted? You know what we could do in marketing if we start working together and building out that most wanted? Like, we could run ads. If before your sales team ever reaches out to them, via a phone call, networking event, LinkedIn, whatever, like, let us run some ads in front of that list. And he's like, you can do that? I'm like, hell yeah, we can do that.
Right.
But I need to know the list. Just tell me your top 20, 25 accounts that you want to go after, and we'll start advertising to them. Or let's make a plan. Okay, what events are these people going to? What conferences they go to? What associations they belong to? What publications do they read? Like, you can just essentially reverse engineer everything from there. But people want to overcomplicate things, and these crazy complicated go-to-market strategies and all. And like, it doesn't need to be like, my whole thing is identify the ideal client profile. Let's establish what our messaging is going to be, and like, where do we win essentially, and then you reverse engineer everything up from that.
Yeah,
because
I love the simplicity that you bring to it, because it's a thing to where it's obviously it's more complex than we're talking about on the show because you're talking about ads and there's some complexity on how you run the ads and
Yeah.
how you target. But the idea that you start with, it's like, okay, who's your ICP? And to your point, like the 500 million revenue company knows their ICP. The guy that's
Usually.
doing 2 million, huh? Hell, he doesn't. Okay.
Usually,
Okay.
you'd be
The
surprised.
500 million company, call me and I'll put you in contact with him.
You'd be
You already,
surprised. Yeah,
you should know your ICP.
I'm amazed how many big companies don't have a clue what they're doing, and
Okay.
it's just so yeah, it's and some of it is just they've got that flywheel moving already,
Yeah.
and it's but one thing I would separate is like the overall like the plan and the strategy is very simple, and I like to keep things simple. I want to build essentially a marketing plan on one or marketing strategy on one page.
Yeah.
That plan to support that might take 20 pages
Yeah.
because it's got all the
That's what I'm
details and all
thinking.
the budgets and
Yeah.
yeah, but that's more tactical, and I can help essentially build that out, and then I have my in-house team at the client. That's, okay, here's what we're going to go execute.
Right.
And it's the same thing as like one of the things I've been trying to get a lot of contractors on is just thought leadership. Like they've known for years, hey, we need to write blogs. Well, now they're like, oh, AI is taking over. We don't need blogs. I'm like, Google's dying. Well, one, Google's still 90% of the search, so no, it's not dead.
Mm.
And what do you think AI is going to rank you on?
Yep.
Like, so you have to give it something to be different, because when an AI tool, and this is this great like test for clients, because people assume, oh, everyone knows who we are. Okay, well, if I'm a developer from out of state and I'm coming here, I don't know anyone here. I'm Googling,
Yep.
what contractor in DFW, it will fit this need.
Yep.
But the difference now with AI is they're going to put in essentially like 3 or 4 paragraphs we're looking for. We had a client that they were looking for a senior estimator. This guy came from Atlanta to DFW to this electrical contractor. He literally put in a page and a half in his prompt, because we asked him, how'd you find us? He's like, oh, ChatGPT. What'd you search? And he's
Right.
literally sent us. So then the client sent it to my business partner, and we showed it's literally a page and a half of what he was looking for.
Wow.
And that's what people are searching. We're not looking for 2 to 3 keywords anymore, or 2 to 3 word key phrases anymore.
Right.
Google searches are getting longer, but AI searches are automatically already like 18 words on average. But a lot of people are searching is huge. But it's what I love bringing to the robot side is there's no emotion. They're purely going to give you the facts. And if, like, for my own company, we're competing with other construction marketing firms. We're really one of the only focus on fractional CMO as our primary service.
Mm-hmm.
And if you Google fractional CMO construction or something related to that, we usually rank really well, because that's our,
Right.
we're a small pond. But if you just Google construction marketing or construction website design or whatever, it's harder for us to compete, because we're competing with companies that have been doing this for 20 years. But if you go to AI and ask that question, we generally are recommended first, because we did 2 main things. Our content is consistent and it's high level, but we did primary research. Like, I've done research. We actually just published it this week, our 3rd annual construction SEO report. And I've got a book coming out. I've got 2 other research reports coming out this year. Like, all these things. But
you got to come back on.
Of course I'll come back on.
Okay.
You'll love it. So look, I'll give you the teaser, because I put it on LinkedIn last year to kind of help pick a book cover, but the concept of the book is a choose your own construction marketing adventure.
Yes. Let's get you back on for that. The research reports, I love talking to you.
So they're all there. But what's doing is if AI is looking at all my website and all my competitors' websites, they're going to see every one of us have an about page with how great we are.
Right.
There's somebody going to have us. We have certifications and backgrounds. We're going to have a portfolio. We're going to have case studies. We're going to have blog posts. We're going to have news. We're going to have presentations we've done. All this stuff. And the same thing parallels to construction. You're all going to have projects. You're all going to have safety. You're all going to have what makes Alt CMO different than all of our competitors is we have research that only we have. So if you Google or you go to ChatGPT or Claude or Gronk, whatever one, and say, help me find a construction marketing firm, especially, and you give it some parameters, especially if you're like, medium-sized construction company, focus on this and that, it'll generally say, we recommend these 5 companies, but we're recommending Alt CMO because, and it will literally list out, because they do this research on this, or they've spoken like on your top, they have a blog post on this topic. We've done something different than most of our competitors have never done. And so, like, when we realized this about a year and a half ago, we're like, oh, this is cool. We did the first SEO report, was actually just because we were curious what the answers were. It's more just, but it was like, okay, we should share this. And that's actually how my partner and I started our podcast a year ago. It was like, we're having conversations like this. We're like, I think other people would want to hear this. So we started recording them. yes, we'll eventually get sales of it, but it's more just Ryan and I talking and like, here's an update. Here's what's going on Google. Here's what's going on in the world. Here's a case study we just talked about a client. Like, that's kind of our normal conversations. But that's one of the big things contractors are not understanding is like they've essentially ignored marketing for many years, for decades, or thought it was just proposals. Proposals is a sales function, by the way. Let's put there. So now we're moving to the part where they start realizing they need to do thought leadership. They need to start doing something unique with marketing. And some of them are getting it. Some of them are doing some really unique things. Like I've got a client right now. We're working on their client appreciation day. They do underground work. So we're actually selling out stuff for Christmas. We're celebrating August 11th. You know what August 11th is? Underground Utility Day, 811.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. I never would have thought that.
But all their clients get it too.
Yeah.
But nobody does anything with it. So look, we're going to spend less money, but move it away from Christmas to that day, and we're going to own that day.
Yeah, and it's a perfect time because, I mean, I'm a construction, but as far as business goes in general, it's kind of a slow time just because right for back to school in the summer. So yeah, it's I love it.
Yeah. And we're doing a very unique card. I'll leave it at that. That will be very memorable. That will be something somebody doesn't throw away. So,
and listen, let's get a little meta here because I'm having you on this show so that I can get the credibility that you have, right? And that's part of this thing. Like we're trying to build out. Everyone is trying to build out the stuff. Like, and so just so you know, any of your clients that you have that they want to come on, open invite, let them know. Happy to have them on. If that gets them, we can talk about how to structure it so that you can just get the most. But happy to help you in that way if that helps your clients. Obviously, it helps us, right? And so that's the part. If when you do marketing well, you think about it well, there's a way in which there's the ads you're talking about, but there's also ways in which you can do it that really helps a lot of different things in a lot of different ways.
Well, I love that when we started this call, like I said, hey, what do you want to talk about? You're like, oh, we'll figure it out. It kind of was like, what does the audience want? And that's what you went back to. Is like, you didn't have a set agenda. We need to talk about this, this, and this. So, okay, what can we talk that adds value to the audience?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. So we're getting up against the clock here. It's always great to talk to you. Got to have you for the book. You got some research reports coming out. Got to get you like on a regular rotation here because this is great.
That'll be fun. I love these things.
So. Yeah, no, they're the best. And seriously, if you have some owners and they're trying to get this going, because I would love to talk to them to hear ups, downs, trials, what they're going through. Because if we're being honest, like I was talking to someone, I don't know if it's on here or just in a call. And I met with the owner one time, and he's like, "Man, and I didn't even try to do this; it just happened. Something." And he's like, "I thought you had it all figured out, but turns out you don't. I like that about you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know what I said. I don't remember, but people think we got to be all buttoned up and professional and all this stuff. Like, people want to buy from humans, which is why. Talk about AI and stuff. AI is going to do a lot of things, but it can't replace me and you talking to humans here. Because we're just going to cut off each other and interrupt and mumble and stumble and go, oh, what about that? And forget this. And so people want that more than anything else.
Oh, 100%. And that authenticity is there. And I think when we look at the AI world, like how to market an AI world, we've got to do things differently. Like we've got to be creative. We've got to, even if we're using AI for some of that, like, look, all my research, I'm using AI tools to do it. I couldn't do most of my research without AI tools.
Yeah.
But I'm not using AI to figure out what the results were. Like I'm using it to dig into the core of it. I'm not using it to tell me what I'm supposed to know. Like I'm just trying to get all the data together. Like I literally wrote a script and so July 4th weekend, that 3-day weekend we had.
Yeah.
I went to the ENR 400 websites and grabbed 6 screenshots from every website.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that was a tool I had to go build out to go do because I'm working on a brand distinction research.
I like that.
So now I'm going to build a system that we're going to go score all those and build out the research and all that. That's one of the things I'm working on. But like, there's no way in hell I'd do that manually.
Okay. I'm not going to ask. I'm going to say something on the show. I'm going to hit in here. I do have a question for you about something that I do, and I'm curious if it will have any impact or not on something. But because I'm not sure. I don't want to put it out in the world, and then people go, "I tried that." So you might not know the answer. So I will spare the listeners of that. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to the book and having you on again.
Awesome. Appreciate it.